That was me, sorry.
Sorry, I don't have my board meeting agenda in front of me, so I apologize. We are going into our work session.
So
Dr.
the
Brock.
work session has been called to order, and we will do the pledge prior to the regular meeting.
Yes.
So I have 10 policies to review with the board tonight. The first was already approved, the components of it in the board organizational meeting in January, but there is a corresponding school board policy. It's in the packet tonight, mainly because under item E, it talks about a discussion that had come up when a board member attends a community or school-related function, can they turn in mileage? And so I think the clean way to do it is to just have, like any other employee, if we're going to approve mileage for somebody to attend an event that's out of town, we just have it pre-approved by this very board. So the answer is yes, the board can get approved mileage. We just need to have them submit that at a board meeting prior to when they want to go. Let's use a semi-state or a state championship competition as an example. If someone wants to drive to Indy, if the board wants that representation, then the board will approve mileage for that trip. So that was 0144.1.
So are we able to add language to this, or do we just follow what the policy is presented to us?
We can customize it. Is there something you want to add?
I would entertain as, I don't want to overspeak somebody else's thoughts.
No. This was a discussion that we had. We would entertain approving mileage for school board members to attend things that are outside of, say, the Duneland Conference. So sporting events.
So if we play Munster, you want to
No.
cover that?
No, but I mean, okay, so we typically play Munster and,
LaPorte,
who are outside of
Portage.
our conference. So I don't know exactly what the language would be, but no, I don't think that we should be
So outside of
reimbursing
Lake-
mileage to Munster.
Lake or Porter County
Works for
or
me.
the Duneland Conference?
There you go, like it.
I like that.
Okay, I'll add that sentence.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good idea.
Retaking a class, Board Policy 5462. We have, I think, actually gone back and forth on one piece of this that I'll draw your attention to. We have kids who do retake classes, and sometimes it's not just because they failed a course. Sometimes they got a C- or a C, and they want to shore up their skills in chemistry or calculus or what have you. Pre-calc. But I think under the second section, it's important that the way we operate is F, under the bottom section of page 1, that the grade earned in the class will be average with the grade originally earned and included in the GPA. So I think when I was at the high school many years ago, we allowed people to replace the grade, and I think somewhere along the line, our practice changed.
Yes, I think some of the colleges were seeing both classes listed on there, but one without a grade, and so that was causing some questions from the university level, and so that's why we made the adjustment.
So that will match our practice. So E would have been how we functioned in the past, and F is how we function now, and that's why we chose F on that policy. I think it's healthy sometimes for kids to retake a class, and there's no shame in it. Even if you passed, if you didn't learn as much as you needed to for the next course, like in math, it can make a lot of sense. The important piece of the suicide prevention policy would be on the third page. And we do have a relationship with Dyer where our counselors, that is the community mental health center that we refer people to for evaluation. Also check that if somebody is having questions, there are multiple contacts who they can reach out to, their school counselor, a school social worker, student support services at the central office. So for families who have questions about this, they do have people to contact at school. You'll notice in the first part of that policy, they rewrote it, so the old policy is mostly stricken with new language substituted in. Content does not substantially change, though. That brings us to staff evaluation. We do have a staff evaluation plan in place. The code, or the State Department of Ed, State Board of Ed no longer requires it. We're still following something, and so I checked the box that the plan may be reviewed and amended as needed. I don't know if we'll get to that in the next year. We definitely want to keep evaluating people and making sure that quality instructional practices are taking place in every classroom, but how we actually rate teachers based on that is subject to change in the future. Brings us to 32-2001, the Teacher Appreciation Grant. Mostly this language comes out of code on the second page. I did not include any of the criteria that was used. It certainly has been a difficult endeavor for our staff to wade through. The Teacher Appreciation Grant probably should be given a new name. If I get a chance to meet with the legislators in the next week, like our superintendent group is hoping, we will share some ideas for making the distribution of these funds a little more equitable. If they could see it in them, to send it to the State Board of Education for a couple of adjustments for future distribution of the grant. But we did follow all the policies and all the requirements as laid out by the Department of Education. It doesn't mean that we're totally comfortable with everything that they had us do. Mrs. Castaneda, do you need to add anything to that description since you did the work?
No, just that it was a very divisive and disheartening process, and so we're hoping that the legislators will listen to us and go back to a grant that recognizes the impact of all of our teachers on our students.
Thank you. The next one is 3231. We talked about this a little bit at our last public meeting, and I thought it was in that packet, but it was not, so I have to bring it back to you today. And remembering that the one piece that we don't allow staff to do, and that is to accept fees at school for tutoring of students currently enrolled in their course or in their classroom. And so it's okay for teachers to tutor other people's students, but not their own, since we already have tutoring built into the schedule. And then the other piece, just to refresh the board's memory, we talked about having some outside instructors who do fill out a Google form that we will be warehousing with Aaron Graves in the facilities area, because we do waive the fee for those outside instructors, given that they really only use lighting. They come in after school when the temperature in the building is already where it should be, and they do provide some private lessons in the classrooms and in the band and choir rooms as needed. So that one's pretty clean. Next up is the personal background check policy for contracted services. I didn't check the expanded child protection index in other state because our expanded criminal history check already looks at other states. The one tricky part of this policy would be at the bottom of page 2, where we talk about what are some things that our director of facilities might meet with a contractor and say, well, we'll review that. And a couple of items are, A, an offense relating to operating while intoxicated. We have overlooked some of those things that are decade or more old. We don't want to hold that against people forever, what they did in college. And then some controlled substances, like marijuana and so forth, we would, again, consider what was the timeline. Was it last month or was it 12 years ago? And so those are two that our director of facilities may choose to allow the person still to work. All the stuff relating to battery, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, weapon offenses, we're not considering those people to come on our campus to provide work service. In the second section, I also checked the part about an employee who may be required to wear an ankle monitor as a result of a criminal conviction. I checked that because I don't know everything that requires somebody to wear an ankle monitor, but depending on what it is, our director of facility, superintendent, assistant superintendent would certainly talk about that and consider it. This does not mean that you can have that and you're automatically in. It means we're going to look at the individual facts surrounding the reason.
Okay.
And then it's just important to remember also on page 3 that we're not paying for these background checks. These are at the expense of the contractors who are doing business with us. And that should wrap up 8121. Brings us to 8405, which is indoor air quality, animals in school, and idling vehicles. I think that we're following all the OSHA and Indiana State Department of Health rules on air quality in terms of when we test and what those levels can be for carbon monoxide and other things. And we have a history of doing that and bringing in outside groups to do that for us. Animals in classroom, I shortened this one down to just say live animals shall be allowed in the classroom for educational purposes with the prior approval of the principal. I eliminated the sentence that limits it to a semester or a grading period or so many weeks, because I don't know when they hatch the chicks. It could carry over from one 9-week period to another. We have had comfort dogs in the school at times. We had Fozzie, the comfort pig. And no, that teacher doesn't work for us. But she wouldn't bring the animal in every day, but periodically. And so as long as the principal is aware and approves it, I think that's the cleanest way to go on the animal piece. And then as far as the buses and stuff go, if you go to the page 4, the guideline is that if you're going to be stopped for more than 5 minutes, you should turn the engine off.
Okay.
Any questions about that policy? Okay, that brings us to 8452, the AED piece, which, if you remember, initially was on the chopping block in House Bill 1004, but it appears that enough pushback came that that part is not getting eliminated. So to draw your attention to what we do annually test the devices. I don't know the total that we have at the high school currently, but we have them near every facility where people could be spectators and/or participants and need it. And the one thing that I talked to the athletic director about was the piece about periodic information during the season. And it looks like I forgot to check that box. Oh, no, I didn't check it because it's not a drill. That our athletic director at his coaches meeting prior to each season has agreed to give a list and a map of where the AEDs are located throughout the campus, so that even if the coach is in the weight room, that they know where the closest one is. The past practice has been to go over all that with the new coaches, but now we're doing that with every coach annually. So that is the AED policy. And then the last one for this evening is 8462, child abuse and neglect. This is one that our administrative team has done a good job each summer refreshing people's memory, and we have enough cases come up that the topic comes up in our principal meetings periodically too. What you do when you suspect that a child could be a victim of abuse. And so what I checked for the training on this, we've in the past used the Global Compliance Network on these types of trainings, which are tutorials that people can do on their own free time, but it does keep track of who has actually completed the training, and that way we know that they've been exposed to that content. Okay, any questions about any of that?
Yeah, can we revisit Code 5462, retaking a class?
Sure.
Just a couple questions. What are our neighboring schools doing? Are they also changing the criteria? Is that
Well-
what's prompting us to change it?
No, we're not really changing it. That's been our practice since the universities questioned, as Sarah said. They questioned, they said, hey, why is there no grade next to this? And so we would go back to the retakers and put their first grade. Sometimes the first grade was an F, that they failed, and I think the university likes to know that. And sometimes it was a C- that they turned into a B+, and they like to know that. So we changed it in response to what we used to do was the replacement piece. And so in order to replace, if you left the other grade in there, it would get calculated in. And then we didn't want to put an N in there because that means didn't pass, no pass, when in many cases they had passed. So it really was in response to university inquiry. So I suspect that most schools are doing it the way we are.
Okay.
If the universities that matter are asking that they both be on there.
Okay. Thank you.
Louise, any questions?
Okay, so that should wrap up our board policy review for this evening. These policies will come back at the next meeting for approval, and then I should have one more with a few accounting policies that I've got to go over with Mr. James on limits for when you have to do, meet certain criteria for expenditures and how we track our inventory and things like that. So a few more policies, and then that last packet will be updated. and we'll do that at our next meeting. So I think we can adjourn this particular meeting until 7 when we do our regular meeting.
All right, we are adjourned. pledge allegiance Well, this time I do have my board meeting agenda, so we will welcome to our Monday, February 2nd school board meeting. We will start with our agenda approval, deletions, additions. Dr. Baraco.
Thank you. There is one amendment to the agenda, well, actually two. One is Roman numeral 7B1, some additional personnel recommendations under Mrs. Castaneda's, and then Bird calendar of future events, Roman numeral 10. The next meeting will be Tuesday, February 17th. Everything else is the same as you received last week.
Motion to approve?
Motion for Ms. Kelly. I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Marshall.
Aye.
Ms. Talent.
Aye.
Ms. Kelly.
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Is there any correspondence this evening, Ms. Kelly?
There is not, Mrs. Seuss. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to our liaison committee updates. Mr. Marshall.
I have nothing to report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Talent.
Okay, this evening, I'll have the opportunity to come before you with information from the Lake Central Education Foundation. Dr. Malco obviously is not present, so she asked me to fill in. And we just wanted to let you know that the Lake Central Education Foundation has had the opportunity last Tuesday evening to present at door A in the hallway there was an unveiling of a art piece. It was dedicated, and that art piece was created by students and teachers within the Lake Central High School. And so you will see up here on the slide there, Mike Selgin, the president of the foundation, and Don Zarnick opened the time. And next slide. Our picture, there were a lot of community members that were present. We had the opportunity to have staff, students, business people were there. We had a wonderful representation. Town council individuals were there. So it was a lot of fun. And it was indicated that we also had Dr. Baraco joined us and said thanks to the foundation for their dedication in providing teacher grants since basically 1996. He indicated that that was happening through community efforts, the support that the community gives us, both in action by attending events and being attentive to school needs, and financially. We are very thankful for the growth in the Education Foundation, because we've brought about significant funding programming to our teachers for our students' growth. The fine art piece looks like this. It is stained glass. Like I say, it was designed by students and teachers. We also had community individuals donate their design skills, time, energy, also product, so that we could indicate who are our main donors through a program that the foundation has put into place, Partners in Education. So our main donors are listed as you enter door A. It's across from the auditorium. If any of our listeners would like to go view it, it's really a pretty nice piece. Again, we want to say thank you to individuals like Martha Sandoval, Dr. Veraco, and Mr. Selgin. Made a real point to give tribute to her because she was able to start this organization back in 1996 with other staff and community members from Lake Central. So thank you so much to them. We also want to let our public know, because if they're working with teachers or directors of in our central office or athletic director, we have teacher grant rounds that are due Monday, February 23rd, and those will be announced later on in March. We also have a seed grant opportunity, up to $5,000 is available, and those grants are due coming up. I have to make sure I have that date right. Yes, it is due March 30th, and those will be awarded April 15th, Tax Day. Concerning the redevelopment committee, I'm just going to keep on rolling, Ms. Susan, if that's okay. The redevelopment committee will be meeting later this month, and so I have nothing to report there, actually, on February 19th at the Dyer Town Hall. And our wellness committee, we are just wrapping up, pulling in all the final numbers for the Walking Steps Challenge. So next meeting, I should be able to report on that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And Ms. Kelly?
Yes, my committees meet this week and next week, so hopefully at the next meeting, I will have some updates for you. Thank you.
Thank you. And as far as my committees go, we are in the heart of Penny Wars, so thank you to all that have donated and that will donate this coming week. And Mrs. Resnick is meeting in this room on Wednesday, the 4th at 2:30 for any senior who would like to know how to apply for one of our scholarships that will be awarded in May. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Varacco for official school board business topics consent agenda.
Thank you again. Seek board approval for the minutes from our regular board meeting on January 20th, our executive session on January 21st, and our second executive session, January 26th. Also seek board approval for the claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenditures you received in your packets last week.
Move to approve.
We have a motion from Mr. Marshall
I'll second.
and a second from Ms. Talent. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
And I am an aye, motion passes. There are no public comments regarding action items, so we'll move into our official school board business topics. Regular agenda. Dr. Varacco.
Thank you again. I do have a brief legislative update this evening. Following up on a bill we talked about at a prior gathering, Senate Bill 159 from Senator Deary out of West Lafayette. This is the this is the safety control legislation on school-issued devices. I do have Mr. Moreno looking into the cost to upgrade our software to meet the intent of this law. I've turned him on to this particular piece of legislation, and as soon as it passes, and all indications are that it will, here yet in February, we'll iron out how we're going to address it, mainly with our Chromebooks, and then we will have Mr. Moreno come to present here the cost, just so our community understands how, when that piece of legislation goes through, what we have to do to make adjustments to meet the intent of the law. That's SB 159. SB 78 is the bell-to-bell cell phone ban. This piece in the current language from as of last Friday leaves it up to the schools to decide if the devices should be left at home or in car or locker or collected each day and then given back at the end of the day. That option would be really difficult for large schools to pull off. And so, as I've shared with our lobbyist, and if we get a chance coming up to meet with our legislators, I'm going to ask them to please reconsider our current format, which has been working really well, where students do get to, they have to turn in their phone at the beginning of the period. They get it back at the end of each period. They could use it during passing period and or lunch. And it just helps us not have to keep track of phones all day and run the risk of somebody taking the wrong one or them disappearing or anything else. I don't think that families out there have caught wind of this piece. I think they would be hearing more from families who want to be able to reach out to their kids. The big thing I hear is in case of an emergency. If, for instance, there's an incident, it might not even be in Lake Central, but in a nearby school district, people want to touch base with their kids and say everything quiet over your way. And then there's the regular things that really the technology has helped us. Hey, mom, practice got canceled. Or a parent texts and says, hey, can't get free from work, jump on the bus today. And so there are some advantageous uses. We certainly don't want to fight at all about cell phone use during class time. We agree with all that. As by and large have our students. They've been really very receptive to those rules. So I'm going to get to it here in a minute that we're hoping to meet with our elected officials at the state level before the session ends, maybe as soon as this week. Senate Bill 270 caught my eye. It's a township merger bill. 315 to 330 out of 1,008 townships in the state are targeted for merger under the current point system. The House now gets a chance to analyze those metrics. I don't know what the metrics are, but I'm sure they're based on size and the amount of money that goes through those offices. In the bigger places, I think it could be a problem to dump that extra work on the county. But nonetheless, we'll continue to follow it because our township government has been helpful to community members in the past. And while we can do things differently, we don't want to lose quality of service in that area. And then my fourth item tonight is just to hit again on the HB 1004. This is that massive deregulation bill. As I said during the work session tonight, the AED requirements were restored, so that part is no longer stricken in this bill. Remember that the dereg bill is removing about 17,000 words, and most of those things are items that are redundant and or deemed unnecessary by the author. There are some pieces that still bother some of us, removing teacher contractual language regarding the length of their workday. We do think it's fair to people to let them know when they are free to leave at the end of the day so they can do other business, whether it's picking up kids or taking people to practices and or sometimes tutoring or doing a second job. They ought to be able to have a hard and fast rule in that area. They added some language in the most recent version requiring us to instruct students on dating violence. And again, in what courses? Is that annually? And when does that start? A lot of loose ends on that piece. They did modify language regarding borrowing for curricular materials. Initially, they said you couldn't borrow for any materials in schools. Of course, our community, I think by now knows we use the Common School Fund loan to keep our technology up to date. And so we're glad that they listened to some people who pushed back on that, and they took that piece out about using it for hardware and especially student devices. So that's very helpful. My final item tonight is Senate Bill 88, which is various education matters. And there are some pieces in here that I think happen all the time that they're saying, oh no, we want to make sure that it's intentional and that we have records of you doing it. Things like requiring public schools, not other private schools, to teach students about the value of earning a diploma, to teach our students the value of entering the workforce, to teach our students the value of delaying childbearing until marriage. The bill would also require state universities to consider the classic learning test score developed by conservative groups to measure the achievement of homeschool students as a factor when they decide whether or not they're going to accept a student to their college or university. And so we'll continue to follow that piece too, because I think a lot of those conversations happen. It's just a question of, again, which course would this stuff be, and do we have to have kids sign off that they were there? And again, we see some language in some of this legislation that feels like it could be stepping on parents' toes, when a lot of the other legislation says the school should not be talking about certain stuff. That's the parent-child rearing business, not the school. So those are 5 pieces that we're following. We'll have an update again in 2 weeks. My second item then is, at our superintendent's meeting last Wednesday, we said it would be nice if we could meet with our locally elected officials before the end of the session to talk about some stuff. Several of my peers, even though it doesn't appear the General Assembly is going to make any adjustments to SEA 1 from last year, that's the giant property tax reduction bill, they still want to make sure that our elected officials know the impact that is going to hit, especially in 27 and 28. And so I'll keep the board posted, but we're hoping to get that meeting in maybe this Friday or maybe the following Friday, but we'd like to do it before the session ends, when we can have our elected officials, both Republicans and Democrats, when we can have their attention. I'll keep you posted if that meeting occurs.
Great, thank you for all your work on this and keeping us updated. I appreciate it. And our Assistant Superintendent, Mrs. Castaneda.
Yes, for my first item, I am seeking the board's approval for the personnel recommendations, the revised copy that you received this evening.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion from Ms. Kelly,
I'll second.
a second from Ms. Talent. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly? Aye. And I am an aye, motion passes.
Thank you. And for my second item, I'm seeking the board's approval for the professional leave requests.
I'll go ahead and move, yes.
All right, we have a motion from Ms. Talent. I will second that. Any discussion? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I understand you'll be also presenting Dr. Bracy's.
Yes,
Section?
Dr. Bracy only has one item this evening, and that is to seek the board's approval for the professional leave requests.
Motion to approve?
Motion from Ms. Kelly. I will second that. Any discussion? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And our Director of Secondary Education, Mrs. Schoeneman.
Thank you. For my first item, I'm seeking the board's approval for the professional leave requests included in your board packet.
So moved.
Motion for Ms. Talent,
I'll second.
second for Ms. Kelly. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion passes.
Thank you. And for my second item, I'm seeking the board's approval for the field trip requests also included in your packet.
So moved.
Motion for Mr. Marshall, and I will second that. Any discussion? Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion passes. Thank you. And our Director of Facilities, Mr. Ledger.
Thank you, Mrs. Seuss. I just have 2 items tonight to update the board on. My first item is we did receive another check from NIPSCO as part of the incentive program that our optimization team was working with. It's in the amount of $6,240, and this is 50% roughly. We should get another check here in about another 4 to 6 weeks that we've replaced some. We're back to replacing the lights at the high school in the classrooms and hallways. We did some back-of-house things last year, and we're doing classrooms and hallways this year with LED lights. And so this is 50% of that work, and as I said, we should be wrapping up here into this month, and we'll get another check hopefully in about 4 to 6 weeks. Any questions?
No, but thank you for doing
Yes,
that.
thank you.
Maybe I should know this answer, but I do have one.
I'm sorry?
So will that mean that all of the lighting in the high school is complete?
All but our next project, Rob and I have talked about it, is we've identified the pool. And that's a big energy consumption, but those are specialty lights. And I've been working with a couple electricians on exactly what type of lights we can switch out. But we have some money for that. And when we do that, we'll also get a rebate from NIPSCO, because that will help a lot here as well. But other than the pool, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Awesome.
My next item, at your workstation night, you should have found a 2026 LCSC maintenance agreement sheet. I kind of give this to you guys this time of year every year. It's got all of our basically service agreements with contractors and vendors throughout the year for the items that we have annual agreements with. I want to let the board know that a lot of our partners and contractors really worked with me this year. And we've only, despite the rate of inflation throughout the country and everything else, the increase is only $5,676 with this page and a half or page and 3/4 of all of our vendors. So I was really happy how they worked with us and trying to help the school out as well. So I was very grateful for that and wanted to make sure the board was aware of that as well. Do you have, anybody have any questions on the sheet?
Well, thank you for keeping those relationships and having a good relationship with them, so.
Well, it's all, everybody up here, I mean, because we communicate well with them and we pay them in a timely fashion and they all appreciate that. So that helps those relationships.
Great, thank you. And our Director of Business Services, Mr. James.
Thank you. My only item is to seek your approval for the donations that were included in your board packet.
Motion to
So
approve.
moved.
We have a motion from Mr. Marshall and a second from Ms. Kelly. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Marshall.
Aye.
Ms. Talent.
Aye.
Ms. Kelly. Aye. And I am an aye, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have no public comments, so we'll move into board comments and consideration of future agenda items. Mr. Marshall.
At this point, I have no comments.
Thank you. Ms. Talent.
Thank you so much for an opportunity. I am just amazed at how thoughtfully our professional development continues. I am amazed as I look through the packet. A lot of our viewers don't have an opportunity to see all of that and all the hard work that goes into evaluating where our staff should place their time and energy. We have policies that are education that's going on concerning AI. That is really amazing that we can make sure that we're ahead and know what's going on there. Other things have included professional development for our social workers and relating to child abuse and also human trafficking. When you think of the area that we live in, that, Route 30 and I-65, there's a lot of traffic that goes back and forth there. And unfortunately, we have heard of instances where this does take place even in our own community. So thank you for that professional development. We also have PD going on concerning work-based learning. And there's been conversation here around the table tonight about working with workforce development and those kinds of things. Well, how can we do that? How can we make sure that it's palatable for all the stakeholders? And there's learning that's going on with that. And I also want to say thank you for the extra time and effort that the teachers put in, because when they take their students on field trips that help them, that's double time for them to make sure that their classroom, the students that do not go for one reason or another, are able to continue their learning. So I just appreciate that. And we've got music, PD going and field trips going to places like Vanderbilt University. Grand Ole Opry. That is amazing that our teachers are bringing the students to that level to perform. Science Olympiad, going for competitions that are hosted in Northwestern University and also University of Michigan. Wow. We also have PD for PE and instruction for our technical coaches and instructional coaches. And the community really did help to support our instructional coaches, so thank you. Then you have, and I just have to say, this is so impressive as to what we get to see. So I just got a couple more things. Also, the application of English and Spanish going to Shakespeare theaters that are safely conducted and where they're at in Chicago is wonderful, as well as learning Latin dances. Pretty neat. Kinesthetic learners are going to learn a little more about Spanish that way. We also are very thankful for having our teachers at LC present at a national level. That is amazing. They are presenting at conferences for French, the National Association of probably Foreign Language. We have an instructor that is going there to present. So no doubt she's using these techniques in her own classes, as well as science and talking about kinesthetic learning through DNA. I'm going, whoa, you guys. So I just want to say thank you. That's amazing.
Thank you. Ms. Kelly?
Yes, this week is National School Counselor Week. We would like to take this opportunity to thank our school counselors for their work that they do day in, day out with our students. We thank you and we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you to those counselors. And I just would like to wish luck to those LC students that are going into semi-state and state. I know your competitions are coming up, so know we're rooting for you from behind. So with that, I will pass it back to Dr. Varacco for board calendar of future activities.
Thank you. Our next board meeting is 2 weeks from tomorrow due to the President's Day holiday, so that will be February 17th, 2026 in here. That's all.
Thank you. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
And I will second that. We are adjourned.